Greetings once again from Victoria. My name is Garnet Schulhauser, and I am the author of 4 books in the spiritual genre: Dancing on a Stamp, Dancing Forever with Spirit, Dance of Heavenly Bliss, and Dance of Eternal Rapture. All of these books deal with my dialogue and subsequent astral travels with my spirit guide, Albert. Before we get into the more serious topic of today, I'd like to relay to you a funny story that happened to me during the early days of my law practice. After I graduated from law school, like all law school graduates, I had to article or clerk for a year under the mentorship of a senior lawyer to learn the ins and outs of practicing law. And after that year, all students can then write a bar exam, and if they pass, they are then full-fledged lawyers. I spent most of my legal career as a corporate lawyer, a solicitor who never went to court. But during my year of clerkship, I did have occasion to go to court a couple of times, mostly to my chagrin. In this one case, I was representing a man who was suing a large insurance company. We went to court, and I went with my client, and the insurance company had 2 lawyers on their side sitting across the aisle from us. Well, we argued a case, and at the end of it, the judge found in favor of the insurance company. Well, we left the courthouse, and I apologized to my client for not having secured a victory. And he said, not to worry. He said, I know why we lost. And I said, why is that? And he said, the defendant had 2 lawyers, and when one was standing up talking, the other was sitting at the table thinking. But when you were up standing up talking, there was no one thinking. Lessons learned from early days of practicing law. The topic today is to answer the question, does God make rules for us to follow? This is a follow-on from my previous video where I answered the question, does God control the events in our lives? The answer to that was no, and you can listen to the video to find out why this is so. The follow-on question is, does God make rules for us to follow, and does he judge or punish us if we break those rules? The short answer to that is no. God does not make rules for us to follow, and God or the source does not judge us or punish us for anything that we did during our lives on earth. This information came to me from my spirit guide Albert and from the information I have gleaned from my QHHT sessions. This is contrary, I know, to what most organized religions preach. And they all say, yes, God or the source does make rules, and we need to follow them, otherwise we will offend God. But this is a falsehood according to Albert and the higher self. This was created by religious holy men as a means to control the masses through guilt and fear. And so they say, yes, God or the source does create a lot of rules for us, not only about how we should conduct ourselves in society, but how we should worship God, or Allah, or the source, however you want to term it. And so we've been led to believe, those of us who grew up with religions, that all these rules that we're supposed to follow did indeed come from God. But in reality, they came from holy men who devised them, as I said before, as a means to control the masses. The reality is that God or the source does not make rules or methods of conduct for us to carry out when we're incarnating on earth or anywhere else. The source does not care which way we do things on earth, as it does not have any absolute right or wrong terms of reference for souls who incarnate on earth. It follows then that the source will not judge us after we leave our earthly bodies, and will not, of course, punish us, because the source does not really care what we do during our incarnations, because the source knows that it's a learning experience and that we planned our lives to face challenges and learn lessons that we need for our evolution. So there's no right or wrong that can be done on earth, and hence there's no judgment and there's no punishment. This means, of course, that hell doesn't exist and that everyone goes back to the spirit side from whence we came when our physical bodies die. This means, of course, that murderers and terrorists go back to the spirit side just like everyone else. This result may seem to be very unjust to many people who feel strongly that a serial killer should be punished in the afterlife for all of their misdeeds. But that's just not the case, and once everyone gets back to the spirit side, they will realize how things really work on earth, and they will better understand the cycle of reincarnation on earth. The souls in the spirit side understand how the cycle of reincarnation works, and they regard lives on earth as like people acting in a play. Our lives are based upon the script that we wrote for ourselves before we incarnated, and as we move through life, we continue to rewrite the script based upon our free will actions and decisions and how we react to the events that happen to us in our lives. So if you were an actor in a play on earth and the script calls for you to stab and kill another actor, at the end of the day, when the curtain goes down, you don't get arrested by police for murder because it didn't really happen. It was just play acting. Similarly, souls in the spirit side, when they're viewing events on earth, they view it similar to being actors in a play. And at the end of the day, when our physical bodies die and we pass over to the spirit side, we then look back on this play that we were in and give ourselves a critique as to how we performed, the good things we did, the bad things we did. But nothing that happens on earth is for keeps. It all disappears when we return to the spirit side, and the only thing we keep are the memories and wisdom from our adventures during our incarnations. When we return to the spirit side after our physical bodies die, we will go through what is termed as a life review, and there we will review all the aspects of the lives we just finished, with a view to trying to understand where we went off course, why we went off course, and as we look at the good things and the bad things we did during those lives. But this is not to make us feel bad. It's a learning tool to help us understand how we can better plan to have a better incarnation for our next life on earth, should we choose to go back. And because there is nothing but unconditional love on the spirit side, when a soul passes out of their human bodies over to the spirit side, there's no carryover of hatred or the need for revenge, no matter how badly they were treated on earth. And so the victims of abuse will show nothing but unconditional love towards the perpetrators that made their lives miserable on earth. And that is difficult for a lot of people to accept, but that is just the reality. There are no negative emotions on the spirit side, nothing but unconditional love. And all souls, even if they've been badly abused, realize that the perpetrator was just a soul going through an incarnation on earth where they didn't know what was in their life plan or didn't know where they were going. And sometimes those souls just go off course when their negative emotions get out of control. So it's a learning experience for all souls, and that's how it's regarded, and everyone returns to the spirit side. So you should never complain about your lot in life, because basically the life you are living is the one you planned for yourselves before you incarnated, and it is playing out based upon how you react to events and how others around you react to their events. But you knew what you signed up before you incarnated, and so you must realize that you were never a victim. The things that are happening in your life, which are tragic or which you don't like, are not the results of some capricious God making your life miserable. It's just how things play out on planet Earth. I always remember what Albert has told me many times when I complained about something that was happening in my life. He would say, "Suck it up, quit your whining, and get on with it." Good advice for all of us. So that's all for now, folks. Remember to keep on dancing and enjoy your journey.